Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on software development to meet one of its most important but kinda invisible players. It's the automation butler that helps build the very apps you use every single day.
Yeah, it kind of seems like magic, right? But the journey from a developer's code to that fresh new update on your phone, well, it's a super complex process, just riddled with potential errors.
So, to handle all that complexity, modern development uses this process called continuous integration and continuous deployment, or CI/CD for short. You can think of it like a high-tech assembly line for code. And you know, every assembly line needs a master orchestrator, right? And that brings us to Jenkins. It's one of the most popular and powerful tools out there for automating that entire software assembly line. You know, before tools like Jenkins came along, releasing software could be just chaotic. It was this all-hands-on-deck manual process. Super slow, totally prone to human error, and honestly, incredibly stressful. Jenkins was built to bring some order, speed, and reliability to all that chaos. Now, here's what's really interesting. The best way to understand Jenkins is through this great analogy. You should think of it less like a factory worker and more like a very proper and super efficient butler. Right? A butler doesn't cook the meal or clean the house themselves. They organize the chef and the housekeepers to do it. And it's the same exact thing with Jenkins. Jenkins doesn't actually build or test the code itself. Instead, it expertly manages a whole team of specialized tools to get the job done, perfectly, every single time.
Okay, so how do you actually give this software butler its instructions? Well, there are two main ways, and we'll start with the original method, the build job.
Think of this as giving the butler a really simple, one-off instruction. You do it by just clicking through a graphical user interface, a GUI, setting up the task step by step. Now, this point-and-click method is fantastic for simple, straightforward tasks, no doubt. But what happens when your instructions start getting more complex? Trying to track who changed what and when they changed it, it becomes a real headache. And that's a major drawback when you're working in a team. So, that very limitation leads us to the modern and honestly much more powerful way of working with Jenkins, the automated script. So instead of clicking through a bunch of menus, you actually write a script. And this script is basically a super detailed recipe that tells the butler, Jenkins, exactly what to do, what order to do it in, and even how to handle any problems that might pop up.
And this right here shows the key advantage. It's a game changer. Because the pipeline is just a text file, it's just code, it can be saved, shared, and version controlled right alongside the project's actual code. This makes your whole automation process transparent, repeatable, and incredibly robust.
But let's go back to our core idea. The butler doesn't work alone, right? It directs a team of highly skilled specialists, and in the world of Jenkins, these specialists are called plugins. Okay, this is the secret sauce. For real. This plugin architecture is what makes Jenkins so ridiculously versatile. It can command pretty much any tool in the software development universe just by installing the right plugin. So for example, when new code needs to be fetched from a repository, Jenkins calls on the courier. That's a plugin for a tool like Git. Then, when that code needs to be compiled and tested, it calls on the builder, which is a plugin for something like Maven. And finally, when the finished software needs to be packaged up and ready to go, it calls on the packer, a plugin for Docker. See how it works?
All right, now let's bring all these pieces together and see what a complete, modern pipeline looks like in action. We're going to follow a piece of code on its fully automated journey from start to finish.
Okay, let's walk through this journey. Step 1. A developer commits their new code. Step 2. Jenkins immediately sees this change and pulls the code in. 3. It tells a tool like Maven to build it and run all the tests. 4. If all those tests pass, and only if they pass, it tells Docker to package the application into a neat little container. And finally, step 5. Jenkins pushes that container to a central registry where it's ready for deployment. And the best part? This entire sequence happens automatically, often in just a matter of minutes. And that was just one example. With over 1,000 plugins available, Jenkins can coordinate nearly any workflow you can possibly imagine, from simple mobile apps to the most complex enterprise systems. So at the end of the day, Jenkins is the engine that provides a reliable, repeatable, and super fast track for software delivery. It's that powerful, silent butler working behind the scenes, making sure all the cool innovations developers create can get to us, the users, quickly and without a hitch. So there you have it. Jenkins, the software butler that gets it all done by telling everyone else what to do. It really makes you wonder, right? What other complex processes in our world could be simplified with just a little bit of smart automation? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.